Hi there, Chris Burns here. Just going to show you some things in Unity with animating and how to fix missing references. So here we've got a little army jeep, and if I wanted to add an animation to this windshield folding over, we can do that by selecting it, and in the animation window, just hitting create and saving this somewhere. We'll call it test windscreen. And doing that will automatically add an animator to the object. And you can see here, we've got our animation assigned. If we double click this animator, it opens up the animator window. And this is our animation controller that it generated. And this is our animation automatically assigned. And it's orange because it's by default set as the default clip that'll play when we enter play mode. So just going back to the scene view, with our animation window, we can turn on record, we can select our object, we can right click and add a key on the rotation, and then we'll go 1 second in and we'll just rotate this window down. And that's automatically set another key because we have record set there. So now we've got our little animation, and what can happen is if we stop recording and decide to maybe rename this component, depending on how Unity's decided to track this object, depends if we'll lose the reference or not. And you can see here, as soon as we update that name, it's updated in the animation here. And even if we were to change the hierarchy and move this windscreen out, you can see we haven't lost our animation. And that's just down to how Unity decides to reference the objects in our animation. And we don't really have any control over how it does that. If you're animating something simpler, or you just come across a model that does lose references, like say we bring in this biplane here, and we want to do the same thing, we can create an animation. We'll call this test biplane. And again, it's added the animator, created an animation controller. And if we look at that, it's got our animation there. Now, if we turn on record this time, select, say, our propeller, we'll add a key, and then we'll go to 1 second, and we'll rotate this, say, 360. So we've got our animation. If you're wanting it to rotate in a linear fashion, it sort of stops starting because by default, the curves will be set to ease in and ease out. So you can select both the keyframes and right click, choose both tangents and set them to linear. And now the curves will look like that. And then we'll get a better animation. But one thing you'll notice is if I decide to rename this property, instead of prop, we'll call it propeller. As soon as we do that, Unity's lost the reference to that animation. And now our animation is broken. So you might find this in characters if you rename the body parts of a character, or if you want to add in new pivot points to a character. You won't see this too much with 3D characters because often they're using Unity's anim system, which has a better way of recording the keyframes of body parts. But often with 2D characters and your own generic animations and rigs, you can get this missing reference in yellow if you do notice one of your animations no longer works. So the way to fix this is you can triple click this field here and it'll turn it into a string reference that you can update. So in this case, we just have to name it whatever we renamed it to. So I know it was propeller. So as soon as I enter the correct string, the animation is restored. But you might not know that correct string to name it to. And you can have hundreds of broken fields to repair, and clicking one by one can be quite difficult. Another way to fix this is to go to the animation, and we'll just save our project. So this is definitely saved and updated. And if we right click to view that in Explorer, here it is. We can find the animation in Explorer and open it with Notepad or any text editor. So you can see here, this is all the properties of that animation. And we only animated one property, so it's a pretty short file. But if this was a full character, it would be quite a long text file to edit. But if you scroll down to path, you can see here, this is the path to our property that animated. So if we had hundreds of these, we could use a search and replace, and we can update that string. And this is handy too if you were to break the rig or the animation by updating the hierarchy. So if we look at our propeller here and we take it, say, out of the hierarchy, I'll just unpack this prefab. All right, so if we move this propeller out and change the hierarchy, you can see that'll immediately break the reference. And we might just reopen our animation. So test biplanes, our animation, view in Explorer, and open with Notepad. All right, and then we just want to find path. And you can see here, path propeller. So that should be tiger moth. And we can just double check that that's spelled correct, tiger moth. And then we'll just check there's no other path. There's another one here. So I wouldn't recommend typing this manually each time. I would just use a search and replace for the purpose of this demonstration. So that's our 3 paths for our 3 properties, rotation X, Y, Z that we keyed. So if we save this, pop back, you can see that's fixed our animation. It's a pretty clunky way to work. So the third way is with the animation tools package that I've developed. Once that's installed, under tools, you'll have animation tools section here. And here you can open the animation missing reference finder. It'll open up a window like this. And you can scan all the files in your project for broken animations. In this project, it's found quite a lot. You can scan selected clips. So if we go to our project, we can just say scan selected clip. We just have to select it there, and it loads it into our animations clips. You can grab multiple clips at once and add them to this list, or you can just clear that list. You can also click this button here, which adds the active clip in the animator. So I might just dock this window here so we can see it. So if we, again, break this animation by renaming it, and we just hit refresh, you can see here we've detected the animation as broken, and it populates this suggested fix field. In this case, it hasn't given us the correct name that it thinks it might be. It's suggesting we change it to prop spin, but we know that we named it to prop, so we'll just change it there and hit apply. And with one click, that's fixed our animation. If we were to break it by changing the hierarchy like we did before, we'll just move it out. You can see it's now broken. We'll just hit refresh. You can see the suggested fix here. Often this will find the correct path. In this case, it hasn't, but we could just, again, fix that by removing the tiger moth prefix, and in this case, just changing it to prop. So this is a much easier workflow. So if you'd like to pick up the tool, you can do so with the link in the description. It's part of the animation tools package that I created for Unity on the Unity Asset Store. It has a bunch of tools inside it, such as this one here that allows you to animate similar to a sprite resolver, a bunch of behaviors that allow you to choose random animations, as well as a audio timeline window, which allows you to animate to a sound clip. So hopefully this video has been useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.